My name is Chris. This happened years ago, though for a long time I had almost completely forgotten about it. It only resurfaced recently, triggered by a random conversation that made everything come rushing back. I was 17 that summer, working night shifts at a pizza place on the outskirts of my childhood hometown. It wasn't a job I liked, but I didn't really have a choice. I had no money, and my parents would have lost their minds if I stayed unemployed. It was one of those jobs you take because nothing else is hearing. Slow nights, sticky uniforms, and a beat-up delivery car that barely made it up hills. At least I didn't have to use my own car. That would have made it even worse. Not that this is especially important, but the pizza there was absolutely terrible. I mean, genuinely awful. Even now, I don't understand why anyone ever ordered from that place. If not for the ordering app and the slightly nicer interior, I don't think we would have stayed in business at all. That pizza shop is easily the thing I missed least about growing up in that town. The only real upside to working there was how quiet it usually was. Either because the pizza was so bad or because we were so far from downtown, people rarely ordered from us. Most nights dragged on in silence. I won't bore you with the usual details. If you've ever worked at a pizza place, you already know how those shifts go. One night, while I was restocking the fridge with drinks, the tablet buzzed with an online order. A large sausage and olive pizza. That stood out immediately because we almost never got olive orders. The delivery address was way out past the edge of our delivery zone. I was already getting ready to reject it when my manager, Russell, a guy in his 30s who spent most of his shifts scrolling through Reddit in the back, looked up and told me to take it. He said we hadn't had a delivery in over an hour. I didn't bother arguing. When the pizza was ready, I entered the directions into my phone and grabbed the box. At the very least, it would kill 30 or 40 minutes. As I headed toward the door, I finally noticed the delivery instructions stapled to the box. They read, "Park on the street behind the house, walk through the backyard, knock on the back door only." That gave me a brief pause. Still, my 17-year-old brain immediately started coming up with reasonable explanations. Maybe someone inside was sleeping. Maybe the front door was broken or under renovation. Maybe they were hiding the delivery from someone else in the house. There were plenty of possibilities, and none of them felt alarming at the time. The night was slow, and I really didn't want to stand around folding boxes, so I decided to just do my job. The moment I stepped outside, though, doubt crept in. It was one of those summer nights where the heat feels thick and unmoving, like walking through soup. The air was heavy and stale, carrying that sour smell you only notice when everything is completely still. I tried driving with the windows down for a couple of minutes before giving up and turning the AC on full blast. The address wasn't anywhere near downtown. It was actually in the opposite direction, pushing farther out into less populated areas. The drive was supposed to take around 25 minutes, but the emptiness of the roads made it feel longer. Fewer houses, fewer lights, just darkness stretching on. When I finally arrived, I realized the GPS had taken me along a narrow side street that ran behind the houses. There were no streetlights, no porch lights, and no visible cars. The backyard I was facing looked neglected, overgrown grass, shadows everywhere, and a wooden fence that barely stood upright. Still, I followed the instructions. I parked on the gravel shoulder, grabbed the pizza, and walked up the slight incline toward the back door. I held my flashlight low, focused on the ground so I wouldn't trip. The door itself was old and white, with a small glass window near the top, covered by a thin, cheap curtain. I knocked. Nothing. I knocked again, already thinking about how annoyed my manager would be if I came back without completing the delivery. I was just about to knock a third time when I saw it. The curtain shifted slightly. Just a small twitch, like someone had brushed it from the inside. I stood there, waiting, fully expecting the door to open. Instead, I noticed two unmarked cars pull up behind my delivery vehicle. One of the doors opened, and a man stepped out, briefly illuminated by headlights. As I got closer, I saw him flash something in his hand. A badge. He was an undercover police officer. He told me to go back to my car and wait there. That was all he said. From inside the car, I watched silently as more officers appeared. 5, maybe more, moving carefully around the house. None of them knocked. None of them announced themselves. They circled the property like they were trying not to be seen. One officer even tested the back door handle before backing away and nodding to another. Eventually, the first officer returned and crouched beside my window. He explained, vaguely, that the house was under investigation and that I had arrived at an unfortunate moment while they were repositioning. He took the order details, then told me to leave immediately. I drove away shaken. It wasn't until the drive back that the reality settled in. If the police hadn't been there, I don't know what would have happened, and I don't think I want to know. Years later, I'm 40 now, married, 2 kids, a normal life. After my father passed away, he left behind a beach house in Delaware. We started using it as a family getaway. One summer night, my older son told me he heard scratching in his room. At first, I thought nothing of it, until I pressed my ear to the wall. I heard breathing, then screaming, and then a man came charging out of the hallway. He had been living in the crawl space beneath the house for months. Even earlier than that, when I was 16, I went stargazing with a friend named Taylor. One night, in an empty field under a sky full of stars, I closed my eyes for just a few seconds. When I opened them, she was gone. She later told me I was the one who disappeared. Neither of us ever found an explanation. Even now, thinking back across all these moments, I can't shake the feeling that something was deeply wrong. Life moved on, but those nights, those gaps in understanding, never fully left me. My name is Daniel, and this happened when I was working as a night security guard. I never believed in ghosts, intruders, or any of that late-night paranoia people talk about. I believed in rules, routines, and cameras. That's it. Every night was the same. I worked security at a private apartment complex on the edge of town. 6 buildings, 3 parking lots, and 1 old maintenance block that everyone avoided. The job was boring, quiet, and predictable, exactly how I liked it. Until that one night. The rule everyone knew. On my very first day, my supervisor told me something strange. "There's a storage room in the maintenance building," he said. "Door number B17. If you see it open, don't go inside, just lock it." I laughed and asked why. He didn't laugh back. "Because nobody uses it anymore." That was it, no explanation. Every guard knew the rule. Never open B17. The first sign. For weeks, nothing happened. Then one night, around 1:40 a.m., one of the hallway cameras glitched, just for 2 seconds. When the feed came back, B17 was open. I stared at the monitor. That door was always locked, always. I checked the logbook. No maintenance scheduled. No cleaners, no alerts. I grabbed my flashlight and radio and walked toward the maintenance building. The hallway smelled wrong, damp old, like something that hadn't seen air in years. Door stood open. Just a crack. Inside the door. I didn't step inside. I just shined my flashlight through the gap. The room was empty. Concrete walls, shelves, dust. But the temperature dropped instantly, like the air was being pulled out. Then I heard it. Breathing. Slow, calm, too close. I slammed the door shut and locked it. My hands were shaking, but I told myself it was stress, nothing more. The notes begin. The next night, I found a folded piece of paper under the security desk. It said only one thing. "You locked me in." I laughed it off. Someone was messing with me, had to be. But the handwriting was shaky, uneven, like it had been written in the dark. Camera footage. Over the next week, the cameras caught things I couldn't explain. Shadows moving where no people were. Doors opening by themselves. And every night at exactly 2:17 a.m., camera 6 froze. Camera 6 faced B17. Every time it unfroze, the door was open again. The voice on the radio. One night, while patrolling, my radio crackled. At first, I thought it was interference. Then I heard my name. Daniel. It was my voice, repeating the same sentence. Open the door. I threw the radio down and ran back to the control room. The truth. I called my old supervisor. After a long silence, he finally told me. Years ago, a guard named Michael worked the same shift. One night, he broke protocol and went into B-17. He was never found. They sealed the room, changed the locks, and pretended nothing happened. The final night. On my last shift, the power went out at 2:16 a.m. Emergency lights flickered on, and I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, dragging. A hand touched my shoulder. Cold. I turned around. No one was there. Then the maintenance building door opened by itself. B-17 stood wide open. Inside, something was waiting, breathing, smiling, knowing my name. Aftermath. I quit the next morning. 3 weeks later, I checked the news. A new guard had been hired, and the first rule he was told: never open door B-17. My name is Ethan, and this is the one night I still can't explain, no matter how many times I replay it in my head. At the time, I was 22 and broke. The kind of broke where you don't ask many questions if someone offers easy money. That's probably why I said yes so quickly. It was a babysitting job. Or at least, that's what I was told. The job offer. The message came through a local classifieds app. Need someone to stay in the house overnight? No work required, just be present, paid in cash. That alone should have been a red flag. I asked what I needed to do. The reply came almost instantly. Nothing, just don't leave before sunrise. I asked about cameras, pets, kids. The response: no kids, no pets, just the house. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Arrival. The house was about 40 minutes outside the city, past the last gas station, where streetlights slowly disappeared. The road turned narrow, surrounded by trees on both sides, their branches hanging low like they were leaning in to listen. The house itself looked normal enough. 2 stories, white paint, porch light on. A middle-aged couple greeted me at the door. They looked tired, not angry, not scared, just worn down. The woman handed me an envelope of cash. The man said only one thing before they left. If you hear noises upstairs, he said, don't respond. I laughed nervously. Old house, he added quickly. It settles. They left without another word. The first hour. At first, everything was fine. I sat on the couch, scrolling on my phone, the TV playing quietly. The house felt empty in a way that made sounds feel louder than they should have been. At 10:43 p.m., I heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, careful. I froze, then remembered what the man said. Old house. I turned the volume up. The rules. On the coffee table, I noticed a folded piece of paper. I hadn't seen it before. It read, do not go upstairs. If you hear your name, ignore it. If the lights turn off, stay where you are. Do not open the front door after midnight. There was no signature. I told myself it was a joke. People online loved messing with babysitters. Still, I didn't move the paper. Midnight. At exactly 12:00 a.m., the TV shut off by itself. The lights stayed on. My phone lost signal. Then I heard it. Someone upstairs said my name. Ethan. It sounded close. Too close. I didn't answer. The upstairs movement. From that point on, the footsteps never stopped. They paced the hallway. Paused at the top of the stairs. Sometimes, I could swear something heavy was being dragged across the floor. At 12:37 a.m., a shadow passed under the upstairs bathroom door. I hadn't turned on any lights up there. The front door. At 12:59 a.m., someone knocked. Once. Slow. Deliberate. I checked the peephole. No one was there. Another knock. Then a whisper through the door. I know you're inside. My chest felt tight. Rule number 4. I didn't move. The mirror. I went into the bathroom downstairs to splash water on my face. That's when I noticed something wrong. My reflection didn't move right away. I raised my hand. It raised its hand a second later. And it smiled. I ran back to the living room. The explanation. At 2:14 a.m., the couple returned. They stood just outside the doorway between the living room and the hall. They didn't look at me. They looked past me. You did well, the woman said. Did what? I asked. Kept it company, the man replied. Behind me, upstairs, something laughed. The truth. They finally explained. The house wasn't empty. It never was. Something lived there. Something that needed a witness. Someone awake. Someone human. If no one stayed, it would leave the house. The end of the night. At 5:58 a.m., the footsteps stopped. The house went silent. The woman unlocked the door. You can go now, she said. I didn't argue. I ran. Aftermath. Weeks later, I saw the listing again. Same house. Same offer. Different name. And sometimes, just before I fall asleep, I hear footsteps above me. In a place with no second floor. My name is Lucas, and I've never told this story out loud before. Not because I don't remember it clearly, but because every time I think about that night, I feel like something is listening. This happened when I was 24, back when I had just moved into a small rental house outside a quiet town in Pennsylvania. It wasn't a bad place. Cheap rent, empty roads, and neighbors far enough away that you could scream and no one would hear you. At the time, that felt like freedom. Now it feels like a warning I ignored. The house had been empty for a long time before I moved in. You could tell by the smell, dust, old wood, and something faintly sour, like a basement that never fully dried. The landlord was eager to rent it out. Too eager. He barely showed me around, just unlocked the door, stood outside, and let me explore on my own. When I asked why the previous tenant left, he shrugged and said people come and go. The first few weeks were normal. Quiet. Too quiet. No traffic sounds. No dogs barking. At night, the silence pressed against the walls so hard it felt like pressure in my ears. I worked late shifts, so I usually got home after midnight. I'd eat something, scroll on my phone, and fall asleep on the couch with the TV still on. That's when the noises started. At first, it was small things. A soft creak from the hallway, the sound of wood settling. The kind of noises every old house makes. I told myself not to be dramatic, but the sounds didn't feel random. They had rhythm, timing, like someone was moving carefully, trying not to be heard. One night, around 1:30 a.m., I heard footsteps stop directly outside my bedroom door. I held my breath. They stayed there for a long time. Then they walked away. I didn't sleep after that. The next morning, I checked the house. Doors locked, windows closed, nothing out of place. I told myself it was stress, exhaustion, imagination filling the gaps. That explanation worked until it didn't. A few nights later, I came home to find the bathroom light on. I never left it on. I stood in the doorway for a long time, keys clenched between my fingers, listening. Nothing, no movement, no sound. Eventually, I turned the light off and went to bed, but I slept with my bedroom door locked. That was the night I heard breathing. Not from the hallway, from inside my room. Slow, controlled, patient. I lay frozen, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding so hard I thought it would give me away. The breathing wasn't close enough to touch me, but it wasn't far either. It felt like someone standing just out of reach, leaning forward slightly, breathing through their nose. After what felt like hours, it stopped. I didn't move until morning. From that night on, things escalated. Objects would shift slightly. A chair angled differently. Cabinet doors not fully closed. My phone once disappeared from the table and turned up hours later on the kitchen counter, face down, powered off. I stopped inviting people over. I didn't want witnesses. I didn't want anyone else involved. Then came the notes. The first one was on the fridge. Just 2 words, written in uneven handwriting. I waited. I laughed when I saw it, a short, sharp laugh that sounded wrong even to me. I told myself it was a prank. Someone had broken in, a sick joke, but deep down, I knew no one had entered that house from the outside. That night, I stayed awake on the couch with all the lights on. At exactly 3:12 a.m., the TV turned off by itself. The room went dark, and something sat down beside me. I didn't look. I couldn't. The couch dipped under the weight. I felt the warmth of a body, not cold, not unreal, warm, human warm. A voice whispered, right next to my ear. I didn't move all night. My throat locked up. My eyes burned. I stared straight ahead as if pretending nothing was there could somehow make it true. The weight lifted. Footsteps walked calmly toward the hallway. A bedroom door closed. I ran out of the house barefoot and didn't stop running until I reached my car. I slept in the parking lot of a grocery store until sunrise. When I returned later that day with a friend, the house was empty again. Quiet, normal. My friend laughed when I told him what happened, said I needed sleep, said stress does crazy things. I wanted to believe him. But that night, I found something under my pillow. A note. You left, I stayed. That's when I learned the truth. Whatever was in that house didn't want to hurt me. It wanted company. It wanted someone awake. Someone present. Someone who would notice it. And the longer I stayed, the more real it became. The last night I ever spent there, I didn't sleep at all. I sat on the floor with my back against the wall, lights on, watching every shadow. At around 4:40 a.m., I felt it sit across from me. I finally looked. I won't describe what I saw. Not because I can't. Because I don't want it to remember that I remember. Just before sunrise, it stood up and walked into the spare room. The door closed. I moved out that same morning. No notice. No explanation. The landlord never answered my calls again. Months later, I checked rental listings. The house was back online. Same photos. Same description. One new line added at the bottom. Tenant must stay overnight. And sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I still hear breathing that isn't mine.